Okay, so I think we are ready to kick off the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council for this month, and I am so honored. I'm Trisha Ben, the CEO of C-Suite Network, but my honor in this session is always with incredible gratitude and great pleasure to introduce Kathleen Caldwell, none other than our chair and founder of the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, and truly a leader in how we address our leadership, how we create success out of our businesses, how we create success out of our lives, and have the impact we want to be able to have. Kathleen, I know today's topic is exceptional, as always, and also really filled with heart. We know this month is February, and so as we look at that, I'm ecstatic to be stepping into the topic of today, which is the light with optimistic action, coaching and consulting. And all of us need that light. And depending on where you're located, there may be an even greater need for sunlight in addition to that light. But Kathleen, thank you so much for all that you do. And over to you.
Trisha, Ben, thank you so much. My goodness. I looked up in the dictionary under optimistic and action, and guess what? Your picture popped right up. So there we go. Yes, thank you. Trisha Ben, CEO of C-Suite Network and longtime friend, colleague, advisor, all around amazing woman. So thank you very much. Love who you are and love what you're doing. So there we go. Yes. And I'm going to do a little Wikipedia and add that little dictionary post for you.
I love that. You made
Thank
me
you.
giggle because I think it may be a condition, and I like to see it positively. So, of course, by definition.
Absolutely. Absolutely great. And thank you for all of the leadership that you bring to C-Suite Network, to women's empowerment, to human empowerment, children, especially with your daughters and just who you are. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We acknowledge and appreciate you as well. So thanks. Great.
Oh.
So today's topic, was really inspired by current affairs and of course the month of love. And so let me just jump in. I would love to share some perspectives and get the conversation going about how important this is now more than ever. And really for us as coaches, consultants, trusted advisors, thought leaders, authors, whatever we're up to, I believe it's our time to step into the light. We need to be done with having, being overtly shy or, demure or not stepping into our power and light. We must step in right now. And thank you very much, Trisha. I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of this incredible council. We are in a huge expansion mode right now. So I'm just so thrilled to be leading this council, founding this council. It's such a source of joy for me. So thank you very much. And longtime C-Suite Network friend and investor and colleague. So thank you for that. And before I jump in, I think it's important to do a big shout out for our program from last week. We're really stepping things up. We are doing programs every week, 52 times this year, maybe even more. We're going to be doing programs that are important in the world. And so big shout out and thank you to Gloria St. Martin Lowry. She led us an incredible discussion about how to build allies, advocates, and champions in our corporate accounts and really in the world. And it was so fantastic because she is doing that. She's got her own alumni council and her masterminds. She is the embodiment of how to build community, build advocacy. And so it was a great program. Watch our YouTube channel and you'll be able to see the replay of it. So to pivot back to the inspiration for our program today, this is really important because you can't pick up a media feed, a newspaper, online newspaper, or the TV, or even, scroll through your phone without reading some of the statistics of what's happening in the world. There's a lot of crazy stuff out in the world. Now, is this any different than perhaps 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years, 200 years ago? Probably not. But I think that we're being exposed through media to all of the things that are happening. We have lightning fast speed to learn about the latest statistics, the latest trends, things of this nature. And of course, I wanted to do a little bit more research that things are heightened now at the beginning of the year with the economy. And I just pulled up some statistics and some headlines. I think that you'd all agree either we're obviously impacted by this with our business, or most certainly our clients are. So the economy is, tumultuous as it always is. CEOs, our C-suite clients, are concerned about their competitiveness, their economics, their talent, etc. And of course, on a personal level, people are concerned about their own incomes, their own ability to save and be healthy and thrive. We have an upcoming national election in the United States. So, we've got a lot of turmoil. This is taking a toll on our clients, and it's also taking a toll on us. So, but worry not, we have solutions. So I was so fascinated by a series of surveys that eachnight.com did they surveyed 2,000 people in the workforce to ask them a series of questions. And this was astounding about what people are kind of feeling and experiencing, and that maybe they're not telling their leadership team, maybe they're not telling their colleagues, but things like they're having nightmares about their work. 64% of the people that were surveyed are saying that yes, they have had a work-related nightmare. I don't know about you, but I've had them as well. Is there anything at work that they're stressed out about? 78% of the respondents said yes. And again, as a coach, consultant, trusted advisor, thought leader of our own organization, we know this is true, for our colleagues and for ourselves as well. Stress is at an all-time high. And so they were delving into what are the biggest sources of stress at work. And it was interesting. These are the top things. We could keep adding more and more, but you can see an overwhelming workload. Hey, 24/7 email messages, text message, Vox messages, whatever it is, issues with a boss or a coworker, colleague, work-life balance, low pay, lack of job security. So all of these are in the background running constantly with our clients and maybe even with us, and we need to shut this off, and we have a way to do that. And you all know that the impact of stress, and I'm going to pause here in a moment and get your point of view on what are you seeing with your clients? What are you hearing out there? What's kind of going on in the workplace? But stress, the impact of stress. Mayo Clinic, has done tremendous work on this, but the impact of stress in any form is debilitating. And of course, as a coach consultant, we need to, of course, know when to refer our clients to a qualified licensed healthcare practitioner. Of course, we call them restorative issues. So we need to know where's the line to refer, but there's a lot of impact of people's stress that they're dealing with, and the uncertainty of, an election. There's an uncertainty of all family units, all kinds of stuff, of work. Of course, all of the headlines of layoffs and mergers and acquisitions, all kinds of things. So right now, we need the light for sure. We're coming out of, a winter time as well, where I don't think we had a lot of light this winter. And so just curious, what are you hearing, seeing, experiencing, either for yourself or people that around work-related stress, work concerns, maybe personal or professional kind of thing? What are your clients telling you? What are your coworkers telling you about what's happening in the world? Is it all rosy and hugs and sunshine? I think not. Yeah. I want to jump over to you. What are you seeing with what's happening in the world?
I'll jump in here and say, I
Please.
see
Thank
a
you.
lot of people talking about trying to do more in terms of self-care so that they can show up at their best, and trying to figure out what the aspects are they need to focus on in order to do that. Also, you hear a lot more, as you said, about light work, something that in the past never was brought up in a corporate environment. And more companies are willing to admit the need for those things that in the past have been called soft skills, as a leading factor in how they engage with their workforce. And as somebody, I was at a conference last week and somebody made the comment that really those soft skills are harder skills than most people are willing to admit, because they aren't the sort of things that you can necessarily track with a simple metric of how many units did we produce. You really have to be aware of how that person is showing up, what other factors are playing upon them, how the team is playing and focusing together to do productively things. So it isn't something that always shows up as a dollar amount that you can automatically say this is a factor of this, but it certainly is in that emotional intelligence and how we engage around that and the attitudes of the people at work that help us to determine, can we put together a team that can really produce what we need to without letting stress overwhelm them. And when we see stress a factor, how can we help them to manage it so that they can continue to be at their best?
I
Very
love
well said, Susan. Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yes. Trisha, please. Yeah. Very well said. Yeah.
Yeah, Susan, I just love what you just shared. And I think it's so important. I think also, just to sort of widen out the conversation into, another topic that I know is near and dear to both of your hearts, and for all of us, this whole notion of how we create community where we can have transparency. And I'll frequently say I'm a really bad fairy tale storyteller, like if you want, rainbows and unicorns and, I'm just not your person. If you want to know what I really think, if you want a transparent perspective, I'm very happy to share it. And creating a community where you can say, look, this is where I'm challenged. This is where I'm seeing opportunity. What have you seen? And get truth. Now, it's not a universal truth necessarily, but if somebody will openly share their truth, then you've got, action items that you can take based on that. Something that is the exact reason why something worked for somebody may be the exact reason it won't work for me or for you, but if we don't have transparency, and I think in the B2B space, in the business decision maker space, this is an enormous issue because we've been lied to for years. And we'll sell you this, or this agency owns this client, all these things that are just nonsense in today's environment. Nobody owns any one of us, right? We are looking for solutions to our problems. And if somebody's not dedicated to that, they need to get out of the way. And that, and that means, practically speaking, whoever's collaborating, who's ever helping their clients really get to success is going to win. That's where I think it matters. And then that, I feel, is one of those things where you have solid ground to be building great teams and that's not just who you pay, your whole entire team that's going in the same direction and wanting to see that success, shares the same values, and is delivering real success to the client, or partner, etc.
And we have to learn
Fantastic,
to not
Trisha.
take
Yeah.
things personal at times. So, last
Right.
week I was with a whole group that's all about how do we engage humanity in the workplace. And frequently we would turn to somebody and we go, it's not personal, it's personality. It's that difference in how you hear it from how somebody else hears it. And if you take those things and internalize them, they can be debilitating. So you have to learn how to understand who you're engaged with and why their different point of view is not necessarily an attack on you or what you did, but it may be a way to open up and see something that you missed because it's not in your wheelhouse, and it may be in theirs.
Beautiful. And what I heard from both of you too is, of course, community, trust, and helping to develop our own and our community's resiliency to be able to sustain these storms, right? And collaboration. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. So
I love what you shared, Kathleen. Are these problems new? No. You know,
no.
that's the,
Right.
like, if we're bringing it
Yeah.
home, that's
Yeah.
the truth. None
Yeah.
of this is new in terms of having challenges. The CEO is challenged. Yep.
Right.
And we're all stressed. Yep. But to your point, how are we handling it and how are we supporting actions that create, positive outcomes and positive impact? And so I just want to give you that credit right from the very top.
You.
It's so
Thank
important,
you.
the sky isn't falling. This is for all
Right.
human history.
Right. Well, and what you're demonstrating here, Trisha, thank you so much, is optimism. So let's move over and like look at that. I mean, thank you for that beautiful lead in here. How about that? Yeah. And so I I in my research, I was really tuning into how do we develop cultures, and starts, of course, I think, with us, optimism, that it's a hopefulness and a confidence about the future or a successful outcome of something. And so that, I think, the beautiful work of Marty Seligman, positive psychology, of learned optimism is so important. And I love that the Latin optimism comes from the Latin word optimum, meaning the best. And it's a set of beliefs and traits that focus on the positive aspects of life and business, and rather than the negative ones. And so this is something that can really be learned. And as a coach, consultant, as a trusted advisor, leader, we can really set the pace for this. And I love it that it's a personality trait. It's not an inborn trait. So resilience and strength and trust and all of these good things. And moving through, how do we actually bring this as a optimistic, action oriented coach, bringing the light to the world, is I put together a couple strategies that I think that we can certainly use, helping for ourselves. What's the optimistic self-talk that we can use? And I personally, my self-talk and my rehearsal is taking a deep breath and saying, okay, I've got this. This is going to be okay. And this is not a forever thing. And so, it just helps me kind of get out of a spiral, because a downward spiral is certainly something that does not help. And of course, as a coach, we need to know when to refer people out to others, if they're dealing with serious mental health issues, and blessings to everyone, experiencing that. And so, but to know the difference between, negativity, and negative self-talk, and optimistic, self-talk. Empathy, of course, a strengths approach. I think fundamentally having an approach, and I know I do, is that people are doing the best that they can do. In the moment, they're doing the best that they can do. And so having an optimistic, people working from their strengths, changing perspectives, as a coach, we can help people think, well, are there any benefits to this? Or what do you see as, how is this working for you instead of against you? There's just, I think, a shift in perspective is really powerful. And of course, finally, loving kindness, an appreciative inquiry kind of perspective. And so I'm just wondering, for each of you, what do you use for yourself to build and strengthen your optimism? What do you see as working? Because this is really important. It's really important. What are your thoughts? I want to get your voice in here as well.
I love the talk of changing perspective, and sometimes it's having someone else look at it with you, to ask those questions to help you make that shift. One of the exercises I've seen is when you've got somebody really upset about how somebody approached it, and you, as you said, they're doing their best. When all of a sudden you say, if that's the best they can do, how differently do you see it? Oh, I get that they don't have the skill set or the empathetic understanding. What do I need to be doing to help them to see it in a different way that they can relate to? And when you stop yourself from being in judgment, you all of a sudden have that ability to look at it in a different way and recognize it's a lot of times what sounds like it's yelling at you is more their own disappointment in their own activity, what they were not able to produce, what they hoped or anticipated would be an outcome that wasn't achieved collectively. Their disappointment ends up coming out more as a anger issue in a bigger way. And you have to be able to step back from it and not take it in as yours. And I think that's a real tough thing for a lot of us to do.
Really brilliant, Susan. And I think leaving a legacy of being a person who is looking at the best, being optimistic, but then Trisha, as you brought in as well, is we're also looking at obviously at the reality of things. You know, we're not in denial. We don't have our head in the sand, but coming from a basic foundational value system of no matter what, I'm going to work through this. I'm not alone. You know, whatever our core values are is okay, we're going to get through this kind of thing, as
Yeah.
opposed to, you know, doom and gloom. It's never going to get better. Why even try? Blah, blah, blah. Fundamental values. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Kathleen, you said it a few minutes ago. You said this is a learned quality. And I think that's so important because I think about this from the perspective of being trained as an athlete. You know, when
Yes.
you're an athlete,
Yes.
you fall and fall and fall. You know, I was a competitive figure skater, trained at the Olympic Training Center in Canada. And I had one of my teammates ask me one day, how often did you fall? And I said, well, you fall and fall and fall until you fall a little less. It's an odds game, you know? And so the only real failure is sitting in it, you know, not getting up and doing it until you get it right, not getting the right support to do it until you get it right, and you know, et cetera. And so I really feel like this is one of those learned skill sets. And with time, you also get an understanding that when the media is saying it's the end of the world, you know, doom and gloom, okay, guess what? We lived through quite a few of those, you know, and there are businesses and people that accelerate their success so tremendously during that time. And, you know, and all kinds of different things happen. And the other thing is what's considered to be the doom and gloom of the end of the world frequently is the best thing that ever happened to the person or organization, et cetera. And I know that can take all kinds of different forms, and it's very easy to say. Having said that, I know a lot of people who've had tremendous success after outrageous failure. And you know, by anyone's definition, right? So I feel this is one of those learned qualities that we can share, that optimism of, okay, it's not going to be the end of the world. And from an athlete's mind, what is what we call stress, which I truly detest the word, by the way, because it's used as an excuse for everything. The human body is built for stress, is my opinion. How we respond to it, what's going on chemically inside of our bodies, there's just so much to all of that. And I will not claim to have any expertise on that, but it is not all negative. And in fact, I think there's some really interesting research out there to show in an athlete's mind that stress is actually something that motivates the creativity and the willpower and the drive to see success with those new opportunities that are created in that center of what's considered stress. So, you know, all of these things I'm very, very mindful to. And in C-suite, we all know that moment when my business partner, our chairman and founder of C-Suite Network, said, look, for a very first statement about COVID, the very first day, March 16th, 2020, we are going to drive success. We're going to drive and thrive. It's not the end of the world. We're going to get through this. Is it going to be rough? Yes. That's the not telling a fairy tale. And we're going to see success together. So I think there's just tremendous opportunity for us as we're coaching, as we're consulting, as we're leading in our communities and sharing what success looks like. Sometimes that's just flat out grit. You fell down, you get back up again.
Brilliant, brilliant, Trisha, and bringing in the real world examples of it. And I think that this kind of light, you know, we're all light workers here, bringing the light in and optimism and being different than positive, you know, positivity or rose colored glasses. It's like, okay, that I find will only go so far, but bringing in who we are, what we're doing, our perspectives. And let me continue on and, you know, kind of pivot here because in a world where, you know, I think that many folks, I mean, we've got all the different generations in the workplace, is that we get to not, you know, I don't believe in preaching, so to speak, or putting my values on anyone else. However, what I do notice is the attraction model is working. And so being authentically who we are as optimistic people looking to make a difference and also to use these kinds of tools, and also being curious, what are people dealing with? What is their truth? And at the same time, staying committed to, Tricia, as you mentioned, as an athlete, the performance, staying true to the training, staying true to what is the mission, what are the goals, what's the real thing here, keeping the main thing, right? So I'm introducing the concept that we're all light workers and claiming this, this term, it's been kind of a new age kind of term. I didn't really find anything in the dictionary about it, but I think a light worker is anyone who wants to make a difference and wants to make the world a better place. And bringing our light into places where there's not there's not light. There's concern, there's worry, there's stress. Not like we're trying to fix it, and not like we're trying to help in areas that are none of our business. I think that as coaches, we love to coach. As consultants, we love to consult, but not getting up in the business where we really don't need to be, because I think then our energy, our light gets scattered, and we're doing things that really we've not been invited to, or we're doing too much, we're overdoing. And so, that's kind of the shadow side, I think, of being a light worker, but claiming that we as women coaches and consultants, trusted advisors, thought leaders, we are light workers. We bring light into the world. And so, I'm going to be doubling down on this distinction, because we as light workers in any capacity of what we're doing is we light up the room, the Zoom room, the in-person room, the virtual room, whatever it is. We light it up when we enter versus when we leave, the room lights up. Those people, right? And as a light worker, we just need to be, we don't need to be doing anything. We don't always need to be coaching. I also think after being a coach for, my gosh, 26, 27 years, I've also learned that not everybody wants to be coached. And so kind of putting on my listening hat, my caring, my empathy, my optimistic hat is what's called for in the moment. I don't need to provide solutions. I don't need to jump into the coaching role, but just to be. So also wanting, as a light worker, we want the best for people. We want the best kind of outcome. And so I think that claiming this space is really, really important for us. And at the same time, blending this with creating an action plan. So an optimistic, action-oriented coach, consultant, trusted advisor. We don't just think about, okay, what's the best thing that we can do? What's the best outcome here? We blend it with taking action, right? And getting results and being in action and motion around this. And so I'm just curious, what are your thoughts? Because as an optimistic action coach, we've got all the tools to bring optimism and light into the world, create action plans with our clients, co-align with them and partner, and also get busy doing stuff, right? That's really the measurement, is the outcome. And so literally, I think the action part of this is getting out our calendar and getting things activated, right? We know a lot of talkers, we know a lot of people that love the light, but are they getting stuff done, right? So with that, curious about, what are your thoughts, your biggest takeaways, your biggest ahas, and what's important to you right now? Like claiming the space that you are a light worker and you are doing important things in the world. The world is ready. The world wants you and needs you. And what you want wants you. So would love to complete our time here together. Get your point of view on, what are your thoughts? Bringing
I,
more light into the world. Yeah.
I will say, I think sometimes when people hear the word light worker, they think it's a very gentle way of opening up and shining a light. And sometimes it's more like that bright light in the eyes of the train coming at you. It's that
Great
it's
point.
that
Yeah.
very disruptive, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, awakening of a breakthrough. It's that breakdown to breakthrough sometimes that allows you to go, I can give up what I was pushing against because it's not working. It isn't the solution. It is something that I may have thought was the right direction. Take that step back, really analyze it in a way that is, it's like, oh my gosh, if I take a step back, am I going backwards? Sometimes it's about giving yourself the ability to have that wider vision that allows you to see the points that have been missed. And maybe the light coming in different fractal ways that you weren't expecting, that all of a sudden go, oh, now I can see how to weave this together and make it the end result closer to what I thought I was going for, but coming in a whole new direction. And so I think it can be a very disruptive light, not just a gentle light. And understanding the power of that is huge, I think.
I just love that.
Whoa, bring it. That's awesome. Yeah.
I
And
think that
and
gives it the gravitas.
disruption, right?
Yeah, it gives it the
Beautiful,
gravitas.
Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's truly who you are, Trisha, is you blend to, Susan was talking about you. You bring the light, bring the empowerment, the energy, all of that. And then, of course, the plan. So the blend of those two, those kinds of leaders,
That
don't leaving people hang there with, hey, this is what we'll do and this is how we'll do it. It's like, let's get busy and get to action.
it's so exciting. And Susan, speaking of shining the light in, that analogy for me is just brilliant. And Kathleen, thank you for putting me in that category. I mean, I really do think of myself that way. If we're going on sort of the, mom model, I always say, well, I'm a tough love mom. I'll love you to death. I will support you to the end, but I'm not going to lie to you. When my daughter, who's now 5'10", came to me at 5 years old and said, Mommy, I want to be a figure skater like you. I said, how wonderful, but let's look at other sports, sweetheart. Like you can learn how to figure skate, but she has legs that go on forever. This is a Bambi situation, beautiful, but definitely not a competitive figure skater in terms of her actual physical capability, right? It's just so anyway, I think as we look at what that being a light worker means, that constant focus into how you're creating success. And I think you brought that in right at the very beginning, Kathleen. There is nothing about pessimism, negativity, sky falling, that is in any way empowering to a good impact for anybody, for anything, and in my opinion. Now, there's some people who really thrive on negative energy and proving people wrong and so on. It's not a space I want to sit in, and it's not a space that I find in any way rewarding. I won't even bet against my team for fun. I am on the side of betting with my team, betting with my people. And so, I think how we all find what that looks like for us and then where we serve most effectively is really the whole meaning of what we do and the work that we choose to do and who we do that with and in our communities.
Wonderfully said, Trisha. Wonderfully said. Yes, thank you. So let's wrap up. What a great time together. And we so appreciate in our council. Thank you for being here, contributing your voice and your light. And we're so thrilled to also have this posted on our YouTube channel because we're loving our social activation and making a big difference. And I always like to invite everyone to just take a moment, even after our broadcast today and our interactive gathering, to take a moment and think about, hey, what was the biggest takeaway, and then how will I implement it? And because we're very action oriented as well as being optimistic, and so we are taking action to pay upgrade and up level our activity and our value in our council. Every Saturday, we have the Saturday Women's Success Circle. Oh my goodness, it's tremendous. We have a topic that changes every week and the most gorgeous, soul-filling conversations are had by all of us. We don't record them. They're intimate and they're private and they're very, very, very powerful. So this is a way to fill up your cup. So every Saturday, and in fact, I think we're now on our 89th consecutive Saturday. So we're very proud of that. And of course, next week, because we're picking up the pace every Thursday, we've got a program featuring also our esteemed faculty members. Of course, next Thursday, we're talking about how to build our businesses to 7 figures with C-suite coaching and consulting. How do you coach and consult to the C-suite? Because their priorities are a lot different than teams and other leaders in corporate. So how do we work with the C-suite really effectively and build our referrals within the C-suite? So great, 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 powerful program. And that's next week. And of course, we want to promote our sister, esteemed faculty member, Christina DiGiacomo, in the launch of her Tech Council. Very, very happy about that. It's really exciting. She is really stepping into her leadership as well. And of course, we'll complete with, we really believe that the real secret here to everything that we're doing is, of course, bringing the light together. Bring the light together. So with that, would love to have you join our Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Can't wait to promote you, showcase you, and highlight you as a thought leader in the coaching and consulting space and give you a platform to rise and shine. Book a call with me on Calendly. Let's talk, because 2024 is your year for more. So with that, thank you. So joyous to be with each of you. Thank you very much for the gift of you and your time. Lots of love. Bye
Thank
for
you,
now.
Kathleen.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.